Hey everybody, Kris Amerikos here, and did you know that if somebody tells you that you have an accent, that what they're really saying is you speak differently from them? It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that you made a mistake. It doesn't mean anything like that. What it really means is the person who told you that you have an accent speaks differently. Maybe they say different sounds, or maybe they say different words or phrases. Maybe they just say it at a different time or in a different situation. This is more connected to culture than it is to language sometimes. And it can make a person say the phrase, "You've got an accent." But when a person tells you that you have an accent, you shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't be frustrated. You shouldn't be sad. You should be happy. They think that you are a little bit different from them. So if you speak differently from them, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's really interesting.
Very interesting.
A lot of the students that I teach in my daily speaking lessons and in my private group of students who I teach personally, they tell me that it really annoys them when they travel to an English-speaking country and somebody there says the phrase, "I really like your accent." They say that it makes them feel like they don't know English. They've been studying for years and years, and they meet a native speaker in their country, and the person says, "I like your accent." They say, "You have an accent," right? That's what they're saying. So a lot of my students hear this. They hear that somebody says that they have an accent. They start to think, "I'm making mistakes. I don't know English." They can understand that I don't speak like they speak, but this is the most important thing to understand here. Just because you speak differently, it doesn't mean that it's a mistake. People speak differently in all different places. So if I go to New York City, people will say that I have an accent because I don't speak like people in New York. I don't have a New York accent.
Forget about it!
If I go to Australia, people will say that I have an accent.
Oh, can I be Australian, mate?
Does that mean that I'm not speaking English correctly? Well, it's the only language that I know, really. I mean, I grew up speaking English. Everyone in my family speaks English. So am I really wrong? Am I really doing something wrong? No. It's just an accent. An accent just tells people about your experience before this, right? Where you came from, how other people spoke near you, because people usually copy the sounds that are near them. And when you hear those sounds again and again, then you might start talking like those people. It happens all the time. A person from the United States, for example, moves to the United Kingdom or to Australia, and they pick up a new accent. Their accent changes. They start speaking differently. It happened to me when I was a child. I moved to different countries and different states inside of the United States, and every time people spoke a little differently in those places, and I picked that up and I combined it into my accent, right? Into the way that I speak. So this is a really important thing if you're studying English. You can't let the fact that somebody thinks you have an accent or says you have an accent, you can't let that bother you. You have to be strong and keep going, because an accent is not a bad thing. An accent is a good thing. And the second thing that you really need to know about accents, you can't change your accent. Now, I'm sure in the comments, a lot of people are going to be arguing with me. They're going to say, "But Kris, your accent changes over time. And Kris, you say that the accent can change if you move to another place. So what do you mean when you say that you can't change your accent?" Well, what I'm saying is that you can't reduce it. You can't eliminate it. Okay? You can't get rid of the accent. You can only add new sounds. You don't usually forget your old sounds. You usually learn new sounds. And you can add more and more sounds so that when you're in different situations with different people, you might use those sounds. And that's how accents work. An accent tells someone where you're coming from and what your experience is like. It tells people that you do things differently. So really, when a person tells you that you have an accent, it's about them. It's about something they believe. They believe that you do something differently from how they do it. And this is connected to what they believe about themselves. They believe that they are a certain type of person who does certain things, who's from a certain place. You probably believe that too. You probably believe that if you're from Indonesia, then you have a different accent and you speak differently from other people. And if someone comes to your country and speaks your language to you, you might say that they have an accent if they're not from there. But people from different parts of your country also speak differently. And people who are in different professions speak differently, right? Have you ever been speaking with a person and you understand that they don't know the professional words and they don't know the special knowledge and information that you know? Does it mean they have an accent? No, because accent is usually about the sounds that we say. So a person can speak in a similar way to you and use similar words and know the same information, but speak with different sounds, and we call that an accent. And it's related to pronunciation, right? However, what was the purpose of speaking? What's the main idea behind this? It's communicating ideas. So if you can communicate, if you can pass your idea to the other person effectively and they understand you, then nobody cares if you have an accent or not, right? So an accent is only important when your level is not high enough for you to communicate what you want to say. If you go into a situation and you can communicate what you want to say and you can get the result that you want, and you do this with an accent, then there's no problem, right? Because language and communication are about getting results and communicating the things that you need and want. So, if you can use the language to get what you want, your accent really doesn't matter. You can have an accent or not have an accent, it doesn't matter. And the last thing I'm going to tell you in today's video, think about this. I'm a professional English teacher. I've taught millions of students around the world, and I've worked with a lot of teachers in different countries to help them teach students more effectively and to help them grow their own teaching businesses. And something that I learned is that the English language, it doesn't belong to the United Kingdom or the United States or Canada or Australia or any other country. It doesn't just belong to the people from those countries either. English today is a tool, an instrument that everyone in the world uses to communicate to other people. You know that if you do something and say something and write something in English, the world can hear you and understand you. And that's the point here. If I go to Bangladesh and people speak English differently than I speak there, then what's that tell me? It doesn't tell me that they have an accent. How can I go to a place and millions of people around me speak the same, I speak different, and I can tell them that they have an accent? No, it doesn't work like that. What you should do is learn to adapt, learn to change, and use what people say in that place. When I go to Russia, I have to speak a little differently so that people understand what I'm saying. When I go to New York, I have to speak a little differently. In Bangladesh and Indonesia and other countries, people speak differently. And it doesn't matter that I'm a native speaker. It doesn't matter that I'm from the United States. It doesn't matter. What's right is communicating so that it's effective, passing information and knowledge effectively. That's what it's all about. That's why we use the language. So if that's the goal, then I should change how I speak to be more effective in communication with people in that place. So if I go to Bangladesh, I should change how I speak. They shouldn't change how they speak to speak with me. Does that make sense? Well, I hope it makes sense, and I hope you understood the points that I presented in today's video. I hope you liked this video. Make sure you press like, press subscribe, and leave a comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.